Green light on. Yep. Alright, let's do this. Let's go back to the beginning. I need to zoom in a little bit. If Audacity will let me. Just kind of being a butt today. For life is a prison and there's no cure, and this ain't a warning. This is a war. Audacity, really? Are we gonna play this fucking game today? Let's see if you're even behaving right now. Okay, you are behaving. Starting recording. Alright. Figure out where we're starting first. I remember I had a hard time yesterday. Like a really hard time. And the thing is, I wasn't that rusty. I was actually pretty on point. A mild shake to Ganyu's shoulder was what awoke her. Kuching having been the one to have aroused her from her slumber. Opening her eyes, Ganyu sat up against the headboard of the bed, lifting the sheets blanketing her body and slowly escaping her drowsy trance. Okay, so that's where it starts. Alright, so we need to shut all this up, and we need to go to the 5-second mark, or 6 seconds. Around 6 seconds. About right there. Okay, now we got her. A mild shake to Ganyu's shoulder was what awoke her, Kuching having been the one to have aroused her from her slumber. Opening her eyes, Ganyu sat up against the headboard of the bed, lifting the sheets blanketing her body and slowly escaping her drowsy trance. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Kuching greeted. They both sound exactly the same. Wiping away the sand left by the sand. Wiping away the sand left by the Sandman and Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Bum 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 bum. Wiping away the sand left by the sand. Wiping away the sand left by the Sandman in the corners her. I need to zoom in a little bit more. Alright, there we go. Hopefully we play nice today. Wiping away the sand left by the Sandman in the corners of her... Wiping away the sand left by the Sandman in the corners of her eyes, Ganyu smiled in her half-awakened state. Oh, it's one of those lines. Hey Tsukushima, how's it going? Hopefully you're enjoying the fix so far, because I think you were at the premiere for part 1. It's not doing the best in terms of views, but that's what I expected. This is exactly how the pony readings start out, and then it got popular. So I'm expecting it to not start out well, but who knows? As time goes on, things will change. Hopefully. Ah, shit. Good morning. Kuching greeted. Okay, I need to bring that a little closer. Good morning. Kuching greeted. Wiping away the sand left by the Sandman in the corners of her eyes, Ganyu smiled in her half-awakened state. Good morning, Kuching. That's good. Good morning, Lady Kuching. Oh, that's the problem. How loud is that? Good morning, Lady Kuching. Good morning, Lady Kuching. Yeah, that's the line. Oh, so apparently I probably need to put it to an earlier time. Blech. I was about to start cleaning when I saw your live pop up. I can't wait for this part to come out. This is not the next part. The next part is already scheduled. This is going to be the part after that one. I recorded this yesterday. Good lord, was it a freaking fuck fest. Because listen, I am not like that bad. Like, I'm not that rusty from recording. So I don't know what the hell was going on yesterday, but I'm shifting through medication dosage right now, so maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. Good morning, Lady Kuching. Ganyu returned sweetly, following with a yawn. Sorry to wake you up so early, but a messenger came by telling us to get ready. Kuching explained. Apparently, the acting Grand Master has things to discuss with us, and she wants us in her office as soon as possible.
Okay.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. Ganyu assured.
Ow.
Cloud Retainer used to wake me much earlier. No, it's fine. No, it's fine. Ganyu assured.
Ow. God, that's noisy. That happens, though, with, like, the ah sound.
No, it's fine. Ganyu assured.
Okay, let me listen to that, like, at the timing when it's supposed to be played. See if that might work.
As soon as possible. No, it's fine.
I like the other take better. Oh, you son of a bitch. I don't know why it does that.
No, it's fine. Ganyu assured. Cloud Retainer used to wake me much earlier for a...
What the hell was going on with my voice? Cloud Retainer. The thing with this fic right now is that I'm trying to build the romance so that it's natural. That's the biggest challenge with any romance fic, is that you have to make the romance seem real. Pony fics were a lot more easier because they were friends. Kuching and Ganyu, I mean, they're not necessarily friends. They're more like colleagues. And they have two totally different, like, opposite personalities. So, yeah. This is a bit more of a challenge. So I have to make it seem like their romance, like their bonding into a romance is real. So, yeah, that's the toughest part here. Like a Lyra song, Lyra and Bomb Bomb are already romantically involved. Stuff like that. You know, that's the biggest trick with romance fics.
Cloud Retainer used to wake me much earlier as a child for my training, so this isn't even an issue for me.
Okay.
Kuching nodded in assurance, proceeding with styling her violet locks in their usual style. They were mildly
Hang on, how noticeable is that?
Kuching...
It's not too bad, but I'll do that.
Kuching nodded in assurance, proceeding with styling her violet locks in their usual style. They were mildly victim to a case of bedhead, unlike Ganyu's, whose was quite a mess. Just as it were after any long rest without the hair. I need to go down a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know why I was struggling so bad, but whatever, it happens.
Was quite a mess. Just as it were after any long rest without the hair tie binding her locks to where they wouldn't end up so rattled by the tossing and turning of sleep. While she was raised in nature...
Nope, we're not keeping that in there. Learned my lesson long ago on that one. Tsukishima, if you don't mind, what country are you from? I'm curious, because if you've told me before, I'm so sorry. My brain, my memory is horrible anymore. I'm just curious. Because YouTube says that I don't really have a diverse audience, like, you know, outside the United States. Like, the United States is where I get the most, you know, views. Mainly because of, like, language and all that stuff. But YouTube's just an inconsistent mess. And I've had people from, like, Germany and all sorts of places in my, like, live streams. So, should be interesting. If I had to take a wild guess, you're from, I would say, either China or Japan, just based off of your name. But that could be, like, a pen name or anything.
The tossing and turning of sleep. While she was raised in nature and outside of human cultures, Ganyu still preferred to keep her appearance professional and clean. Kuching, if you don't mind.
I don't even remember if I did, not gonna lie. But I'm from the U.S., born and raised. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure about that because I was wondering if that might have been a problem with the premiere, whatever I'm trying to say. Because yeah, I put that at a later hour. I think that was a mistake. So maybe I'll just put it around the afternoon. I just had to put it at a time when I knew it wasn't going to be busy and my parents weren't going to need me, stuff like that. So that's probably the reason why you fell asleep. So I'll put it at a earlier time.
The tossing and turning of sleep.
Hang on. With that thought in mind, when did I schedule the next one? Content. 6 p.m. Okay, so depending on where you're from, that's either going to be 8 or around 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock-ish. Something like that. Something like that. Because it depends on the coastline that you're from. If you're from the East Coast, that would be around 8 p.m. If you're from where I am, that would be 6. If you're like mid-coast or mid-part of the U.S., you'd be at 7. Or if you're from the Pacific, that would be 4 o'clock.
The tossing and turning of sleep. While she was raised in nature and outside of human cultures, Ganyu still prefers to keep her appearance professional and clean. Kuching, if you don't mind, I'd like to take a bath before meeting with the acting grandmaster. So... Kuching put a hand up to show that she had caught the message loud and clear. I get it. Kuching confirmed. That allows me some time to potentially have at least
I remember this.
coffee before or meet.
I remember this was a bitch of a line.
That allows me some time to potentially have. That allows me some time to potentially have at least 1 cup of coffee before our meetup with Jean. Do you know?
I do not know why I could not do this yesterday. It happens. It happens.
The tavern straight down the alleyway.
Oh, I cut it.
Do you know a place that may sell it?
Also, if there's inconsistencies with Ganyu's past in this, please don't rant me. There's very little things known of Ganyu's past. Okay? So, I don't know much about the Qilin. A lot of players don't know much about the Qilin. I don't know a lot about Ganyu's past other than Cloud Retainer was her mom. She was a plump baby, and she used to roll down the hills. She's shy, she's contempt. You know, those things I know very little about, like her past and all that stuff. So this is basically alternate universe, basically my own style of fan fiction.
1 cup of coffee before our meetup with Jean. Do you know a place that may sell it? The tavern straight down the alleyway. Ganyu directed. Do you need any more? Nah. I was compensated by Jean, seeing all of my mora went into the ocean.
Okay.
As was I. As was I.
Okay, let's see. I'm on the East Coast if it clears anything up. So yeah, my premiere was pretty late for you. It was around 10 o'clock. So it probably would have been over until like 11:30-ish. So yeah, my apologies. I just wasn't sure what time to put it at. And I finished quite late because I had an inconsistency with with rendering the file twice. So, well, there was an inconsistency in the audio. I'm so sorry that that's in there, but it's not my fault. It's the fucking program that I use. So, second part will not have those problems. I used a different program. It took longer, but it works. I double-checked everything this time. So if you hear like a little bleep of like, a high-pitched sound in the first part, that is my program. That is not me.
Mora went into the ocean. As was I. With that confirmation, Kuching took her leave to Angel Share. But before she left completely, she stopped for one more thing.
That was a weird.
But before she left completely, she stopped for one more thing. Oh, by the way, a letter came for you. Kuching explained. I didn't open it, seeing I didn't want to pry into your business, so I just set it on the nightstand on your side of the bed. Alright. Alright. Thank you. Ganyu thanked, confused.
Pull that back.
Alright. Thank you. Ganyu thanked, confused as to why she had been mailed a letter.
Okay.
Upon the door closing, Ganyu moved to her side.
Okay, pull this back.
Been mailed a letter. Upon the door closing, Ganyu moved to her side of the bed, finding a sealed envelope with the wax seal. Upon examining it more clearly, she found the wax had an imprint of a boar, to which she jumped at. She found the wax had an imprint of a boar, to which she jumped at, knowing what it was, and why it had been sent to her. Knowing what it was, and why it had been sent to her. It had been an update from Deluxe. It had been the update from Deluxe she had been expecting after their discussion a couple nights ago. It had been the update from Deluxe she had been expecting after their discussion a couple nights ago. After their discussion.
Okay. That's gonna be noisy.
Had been expecting after a couple nights prior. After their discussion a couple nights prior.
Yeah, for some reason my brain was reading ahead. I don't know why it was, but it was being a dick. Like, I don't think it was my epilepsy, it was just the fact that my brain wasn't fully awake or something.
Expecting after their discussion a couple nights prior. Deluxe she had been expecting after their discussion a couple nights prior. Carefully, she opens the letter, only to find a folded paper to which she unfolded and straightened out. It had been written and sent from the Dawn Winery, and the handwriting was very elegant and neatly written on the parchment. With that,
What is that? Okay, get that out of there. But I'm glad you're enjoying. I'm glad you're enjoying the story so far, because honestly, the pacing of this one is different from most of the things that I've written. Like, I'm on chapter 10, and we're not even to like the important stuff yet. Like, we're still at the planning phase, like, you know, what we're gonna do about this shit. But there's an import. Oh god, some of the characters that I have to do in this. Oh boy. Lisa's one of them. And I'm like, oh god, how do I do a Lisa voice? Do I just do, oh hi cutie?
very elegant and neatly written on the parchment. Without any further hesitation, she started to read the note.
I remember this was a bitch.
Dear Ganyu of the Chising. No. Dear Ganyu of the Chising. I do hope... My Diluc voice needs to come out a little better.
Yeah, my Diluc voice was off a little bit. He's kind of hard to do because he's just like monotone. So it's kind of hard to do because he's kind of lower than me. Well, not lower, but he's a little deeper than me. And he's like monotone. So, yeah. And I hadn't done the voice in a while.
Dear Ganyu of the Chising. I do hope this letter reaches you in the time that I stated in our last... I do hope this letter reaches you in the time that
I remember this.
Oh my god. I do hope this letter reaches you in the time that I stated in our first meeting. Not last. I do hope this letter reaches you in the time that I stated in our first meeting. Seeing with the new regulations forged by Jean, delivery of things like letters has been...
Okay, here we go.
Seeing with the new regulations forged by Jean, delivery in our first meeting. Seeing with the new
Nope, that ain't gonna work. We're gonna push this a little closer to the other one.
In our first meeting. Seeing with the new regulations forged by... In our first meeting. Seeing with the new regulations forged by Jean, Delivery of things like letters has become much more difficult. Delivery of things like letters has become much more difficult. Whenever this letter does reach you, I am happy to say that I have some information regarding the whole situation.
Okay.
Whenever this letter does reach you, I am happy to say that I have some information regarding the whole situation. I reached out to a partner in Snezhnaya that is responsible for transferring wine shipments. No.
This was a hard fucking line. I remember this one.
That is responsible for transferring wine shipments from Dawn Winery to the... No. I am happy to say that I have some information regarding the partner in Snezhnaya that is responsible for transferring wine shipments.
Right there. Right there. This... I should have chosen a better set of words. Because this one had me just raging. Okay. So this one goes on for a while. Okay, I can see a cuss. Right there.
Naya. I reached out to a partner in Snezhnaya that is responsible for transferring wine shipments from Dawn Winery.
I was getting so mad.
I reached out to a partner in Snezhnaya that is responsible for transferring wine shipments from Dawn Winery to the... Why do my brain not cooperate? I need a fucking drink. I reached out to a partner in Snezhnaya that is responsible for transferring wine shipments from Dawn Winery to the storage areas of the main harbor in Snezhnaya, and asked him if any ships had arrived from the direction of Liyue Harbor.
Fucking
He
hell.
had confirmed that one ship had arrived midday on the day of your arrival in Mondstadt, and had been navigated to the harbor by some shady figures. That he had never seen board any of the luggage ships that
Here's another
that
tricky
import
one.
products to Liyue Harbor's docks in his time. Oh my fucking god. That he'd never seen board any of the luggage ships that import fucking Christ.
You can tell, I was getting fucking pissed.
Therefore, that proved
I was getting so mad that I couldn't get these stupid lines down. Like, I was just getting so frustrated, fed up. Gets annoying after a while.
by some shady figures. That he'd never seen board any of the luggage ships that import products.
Okay. So, that's the right take. Now I need to push this inward a little bit more. That's what she said. Shut up. Alright.
By some shady figures. That he'd never seen board any of the luggage ships that import products to Liyue Harbor's docks in his time.
Gee, money.
Therefore, that proves that these people who committed these heinous crimes are not casuals, and had been performed some...
I remember this one. This letter was my worst enemy. Hello, that one guy, by the way. This was my worst enemy.
Therefore, that proves that these people who committed these heinous crimes are not casuals, and had to have performed some other way of getting onto the ship that eventually led them to Liyue Harbor. My guess is by hiding in luggage crates
I do not know why my tongue would not work.
My guess is by hiding in luggage crates as stowaways, or that they are casuals. Or that they are casuals, except when they boarded the ship, they didn't appear in luggage crates as stowaways. Or that they are casuals, except when they boarded the ship, they didn't appear as shady figures.
Okay.
Clear!
Fucking hell. Oh, that took way too long. Well, I thank you for joining me. By the way, I hope you're enjoying the story so far.
To say the least, whoever we are up against is smart and can appear as a non-threatening person. The fact that our enemy is able to appear as a casual person makes them The fact that our enemy is able to appear as a casual person makes them extremely dangerous, and makes it that they can walk into Mondstadt undetected. This creates a massive issue that makes Jean's new regulations null and void. So I need you to convince her to... Oh.
I need to scroll down a little bit.
So I need you to convince her to check any package or person that tries to pass Mondstadt's gates. Otherwise, we may be up for the fight of our lives. After your meeting with Jean, please go to the tavern with your comrade and order a flaming flower cocktail. The bartender will understand and relay the message to me in secrecy. Until we meet again, Diluc.
Jesus Christ.
Ganyu shivered at the letter's contents. Things had just gotten even worse than before, and she wasn't sure if she could handle another fight like she had faced that night in Liyue Harbor. The only positive was that the letter had arrived on time, so there had been no period of delay where this threat could have gotten any advantage over Mondstadt's current security. She knew her mission now, and she was going to do her best to persuade Jean to check the shipments and visitors to the outside of Mondstadt's walls. Now fully awake and aware, Ganyu proceeded with her original plans.
Okay.
She stripped herself to nothing but skin and moved to the bathroom for a long and cold bath that would consist of heavy thoughts and planning for the day ahead of her. Pause. Bathroom for a long and cold bath that would consist of heavy thoughts and planning for the day ahead of her.
Okay.
Pause.
Alright.
Jesus Christ, that letter was a pain in the ass.
Yes, it was. Alright, let's save. Yep, that's a fine title. I tried Pony Town for the first time earlier, mostly because I wanted to play it with a PC and I have one now. I love the customization that's available in the game. I tried it once and it's not my thing. Like, I'm not someone who likes to do our roleplay all that much. I need to use the bathroom. I will be right back. Really, headphones? Alright, gotta get that out of the way. I'm a okay kind of person, although I do deep and legit RPs, that's very fun, blah 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 blah, da, da, da. Yeah. I tried RP once, don't like it. It's not my thing. You'd think it, as a story writer, I'd like it, but nope, it's not my thing.
Kaya, Amber, and a new face that Ganyu didn't recognize occupied Jean's office upon their arrival. The fresh stranger was a tall lady with purple clad.
Pull that back.
The fresh stranger was a tall lady with purple-clad attire and a pointed tap atop, and a
Okay, I need to zoom in a little bit for this. And a pointed. There we go.
With purple-clad attire and a pointed hat atop her head, to which Ganyu assumed as a member of some group of witches. That gave enough clearance that this person was one of great power and knowledge.
Ooh.
Seeing witches were known as great power.
That is definitely a plosive, so let's get rid of that. Fucking peas.
Great power and knowledge. Seeing witches were known as individuals that were capable of many great abilities, mainly anything to do with spellcraft or magic that ranged from harmless to potentially fatal. Neither Ganyu or Kuching had ever met or associated with a witch personally, but they knew.
Okay. Oh shit.
Or Kuching.
Let's pull that back a little bit. Was running out of breath.
Or Kuching had ever met or associated with a witch personally, but they knew it was best not to get on one's bad side. Otherwise, you could be living the rest of your life with a hex or curse. With that in mind, they just greeted the purple-clad lady with a simple wave, to which she just smiled at. That was enough to prove that they'd at least made a good impression. But much was still to be said, and Ganyu had remembered her mission.
Okay.
But much was still to be said, and Ganyu had remembered her mission to accomplish in this meeting. Right on time. Jean had started.
Jean, I hadn't done in a long while.
Right on time. Jean had started, walking around from behind her desk.
Okay.
Allow me to introduce our fellow knight, Lisa. She'll be helping us to figure out a few key things.
Yeah, that was kind of choppy, don't you think?
Jean gestured towards the witch both of them had spotted upon their arrival, to which she acted upon her introduction.
Yeah, now you get to hear me as Lisa. Fun. Voice acting is so much fun. And Lisa is a very specific character. If you don't play the game, you don't... Yeah. Well, let's get what we think might be the actual things. I think this is one of them.
Greetings, darlings.
Darlings. Too soft.
This is gonna be a tough one. Oh. No. No. Greetings, darlings.
That's Lisa. Oh god, the Dommy Mommy of freaking Sumeru. I like the little chuckle though, because that's what she does. That would have been this one. So let's do that.
Introduction. Oh, greetings, darlings.
Yeah.
Lisa had greeted sweetly. While the sentiment had been an odd choice of wording, Ganyu and Kuching just obliged to it. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. Kuching greeted. Nice to meet you. Ganyu followed. Lisa merely...
Nope. We're not keeping those in.
Ganyu followed. Lisa merely smiled at the kind words, following with her own set of words. My. Aren't you two a bunch of sweeties? My. Aren't you two a bunch of sweeties?
I guess that works.
Aren't you two a bunch of sweeties?
Yeah, she's not that deep voiced.
Aren't you two a bunch of sweeties?
Yeah, that's more closer.
Lisa added with that same sweet tone. Lisa added with that same sweet tone.
Bring that back.
Lisa added with that same sweet tone. It'll be quite a pleasure to snuff out those people that hurt you. Shall they even dare to try passing the gates of our fair city?
Yeah.
Again, Ganyu and Kuching just went with it, leading to the actual start of the meeting. Now that we are all acquainted with one another, we can get to the matter at hand.
Push that back. When I first saw her, she gave me zesty vibes, but I warmed up to her after the Storm Terror quest. Yeah, Lisa's just a certain stereotype, and that's how I look at her. Even though I love her new skin, like, the new skin makes her look better, in my opinion. Just in my opinion, I really think it's better. I don't use her because when I used her in game at, like, the start, one thing I noticed about her, she's way too slow. Like, Amber's much more useful than she is, and that's saying something. But, yeah. Sorry to all the Amber mains out there, but yeah. Or, excuse me, Lisa mains, but yeah. Her E-skill is just way too slow.
Now that we are all acquainted with one another, we can get to the matter at hand.
That's fine.
Jean stated. Let me start by expressing my thanks to you, Ganyu. Let me start by expressing my thanks to you, Ganyu.
No, I like the first take.
Ganyu jumped at the mention of her name.
Oh, shit. Alright, let's save. Like, I'll say one thing. Genshin's good at expressing, like, the character's personality by just looking at them. Like, let me think here. Like, let's take Beidou, for instance. Beidou is like a character that I saw when I first played the game, and I'm like, oh, I can see her all around. She's very, like, robust. She is a drinker. She, you know, she's got that rough voice. Like, she is just a badass, straight up. Lisa, when I saw her, like, just from the first, like, line she says, I'm like, oh, God, this is the fucking, MILF, isn't it? Sorry.
Now that we are all acquainted with one another, we can get to the matter at hand.
Anyways.
Let me start by expressing my thanks to you, Ganyu. Ganyu jumped at the mention of her name. Huh? Me? Huh? Me? Yes.
Yes.
Huh? Me? Yes. Had it not been for you assisting my sister in the healing session of your comrade, she surely would have exhausted herself sick.
There we go. Also, spoiler alert. But it's alright. It's no big spoiler. You knew this was gonna happen regardless.
Healing session of your comrade, she surely would have exhausted herself sick. Jean explained.
Got the click in there. I knew I did. Luckily, I retook the line.
Jean explained. Oh. Ganyu stumbled. Oh. Ganyu stumbled. No need for thanks. No need for thanks. No need for thanks.
Like, Ganyu is really hard to do, like, when you're, like, doing, like, stutters and stuff. Because she's, like, very shy. Like, she's got a very shy, like, low voice. So, it's kind of hard to do her voice without, like, sounding off. Or going out of voice, for that matter.
No need for thanks. I just didn't want to see her hurt herself. That's all.
There we go.
Regardless, you have my gratitude.
Okay, pull this up a little bit more.
that's all. Regardless, you have my gratitude. Jin replied with a smile, causing Ganyu to blush. Sure. Ganyu closed, allowing Jin to move on. Alright, now onto business.
Okay, pull that back.
Alright, now onto business. Jin stated. Over the past few days, I am happy to say that there hasn't been any suspicious activity outside of the gates of Mondstadt.
Okay, just want to make sure there's no mistake in there.
Jin stated. Over the past few days, I am happy to say that there hasn't been any suspicious activity outside of the gates of Mondstadt. We are very fortunate in that matter. Seeing it's best we capitalize on this opportunity while we still can.
Do not know why she has an accent, but she's got an accent. This is random, but Season 9 King Sombra. I didn't care for him. I did not care for the Season 9 Sombra. Because I'm just used to the Season 2 one. Or Season 2, or is that Season 3? That's Season 3. My bad. I don't care for sassy Sombra.
We are very fortunate in that matter. Seeing it's best we capitalize on this opportunity while we still can.
And there's the dog.
I have informed all of the... Dogs. I have informed all of the Knights of Avonius about the matter at hand. And the security...
You can still hear him in there. Did I redo this? Please tell me I redid this. Did I redo it?
I have informed...
Yes, I did. Okay, good.
I have informed all of the Knights of Avonius about the matter at hand, and the security has been increased at the only two entrances and exits of the city for assurance and safety for our fellow citizens. However, we have yet to formulate a way to However, we have yet to formulate a plan to fight back against this threat that has the ability to absorb elemental energy created by the use of a vision and use it. Jesus Christ! However, we have yet to formulate a plan. However, we have yet to formulate a way to fight back against this threat that has the ability to absorb elemental energy created by the use of a vision and use it as a temporary weapon.
That's a weird.
Absorb elemental energy created by the use of a vision and use it as a temporary weapon. That's why However, we have yet to formulate a way to fight back against this threat that has the ability to absorb elemental energy created by the use of a vision and use it as a temporary weapon. That's why Lisa is here. She may have a solution as to what elemental energy created by the use of a vision and use it as a temporary weapon. That's why Lisa is here. She may have a solution as to what allows these fiends to do said action. And if they are using some form of necromancy and if they are using some form of necromancy or alchemy to achieve this ability, she may be able to stop it with a counterspell. I feel like I'm falling out of voice a little bit. Jean's a hard one to maintain. I'm gonna kill me a fucking dog here in about 5 minutes.
You hear my mom telling the dog off. I was getting sick of that shit already.
It's a hard one to maintain. She motioned to leave. No. She motions to Lisa for further...
Okay.
She may be able to stop it with a counterspell. She motions to She motions to Lisa for further explanation. She motions to Lisa for further explanation on the She motioned to Lisa for further explanation on... She motioned to Lisa for further explanation on the statement, to which Lisa answered instantly. To which Lisa answered instantly.
Yeah, there's a few good bloopers in this one. Okay, so I gotta get that more on point. It's like about right there-ish.
She motioned to Lisa for further explanation on the statement, to which Lisa answered instantly. There are several forms of forbidden magic and alchemy that can grant someone the ability to absorb vision-based energy, but they aren't ancient and are not known by many. Therefore, the probability of this being the way these foes gained this ability are severely low. But with it being the Fatui, are severely low.
What the hell was that?
Are severely gains this ability are severely low.
Let's do something like this.
Ability are severely low. But with it being the Fatui, it suddenly doesn't seem ability of this being the way these foes gained this ability are severely low. But with it being the Fatui, it suddenly doesn't seem impossible. The Saritsa is the Cryo Archon, meaning she has knowledge of things that could extend to several millennia ago. Therefore, there's a chance that she could know of said methods. But there still lies one problem with this assumption. Would the Saritsa initiate this whole ordeal? Or is it being done without her understanding? That's the main thing that needs to be answered the most before...
I had to take a break. I need a breath for a minute.
Without her understanding. That's the main thing that needs to be answered the most before we even go into battle with these people. Otherwise, we may be facing a war with the Cryo Archon. Ganyu heard Lisa's words and saw her point. But given what had happened before that tragic disaster, she had a hard time believing that the Saritsa was clueless to her own organization.
Right there.
Disaster. She had a hard time believing...
Oh, I managed to get some of that in there. Let's pull it back a little bit. There we go.
For that tragic disaster, she had a hard time believing that the Saritsa was clueless to her own organization's actions outside of her nation. If I may...
Pull that back. I'm absolute... Oh. So, do you think Sombra would have made a difference if he held Chrysalis, Tyrek, and Cozy in the finale? I think so, honestly, because he has the ability to like turn ponies into zombies, basically. So I feel like he could have prevented a lot of interference or interference into the plan, but he's a solo artist. I am absolutely struggling drawing ponies facing forward. I can do the side and 3/4 angles, but just fine. But front facing, nope. Well, I struggle I struggle with certain angles as well. Like, everybody's going to have their weakness. Everybody's going to have their weakness.
If I may, Ganyu intervened. I'd like to state something that may prove that as unbelievable. Of course. Of course. Jean allowed. Of course. Jean allowed as unbelievable. Of course. Jean allowed. Ganyu nodded, beginning her counter-argument. Not long before the tragedy of Liyue Harbor.
I remember this. I remember I fucked up majorly. Looks like I fucked up again.
Not long before the tragedy of Liyue Harbor, the Fatui initiated an attack that involved the awakening of the sea god Asail by the Fatui. Not long before the tragedy of Liyue Harbor, the Fatui initiated an attack that involved the awakening of the sea god Osail by the Fatui's 11th harbinger. As long as a sacrifice of the first...
Yeah, shouldn't he be in jail?
By the Fatui's 11th harbinger, god Osail by the Fatui's...
No. Yeah, shouldn't child be in jail? Honestly, I mean, seriously.
The sea god Osail by the Fatui's 11th harbinger. As long as a sacrifice of the first jade... As much as the sacrifice of the first jade chamber that was ordered by my... Oh my god. As much as the sacrifice of the first jade chamber that was ordered by my once boss, Ningguang. This was a disaster that very well could have led to the very destruction of Liyue Harbor and the deaths of hundreds, and was only prevented due to the efforts of the Adepti, that traveler Ether, and the Qixing. I find it hard to believe that something of that magnitude would go over the Tsaritsa's head, especially considering the amount of attention the whole thing received. I agree, Kuching added. This wasn't a simple matter that could have been covered up in secrecy, seeing the entirety of Liyue Harbor saw and experienced it. It spread. Seeing the entirety of Liyue Harbor saw and been covered up in secrecy, seeing the entirety of Liyue Harbor saw and experienced it. It spread like wildfire after the dust settled, so it eventually would have reached the Cryo Archon as well. The probability of that whole disaster going on without the Tsaritsa knowing is just infeasible. The probability of that whole disaster going on without the Tsaritsa knowing is just infeasible.
Good point. You're both lucky enough to even draw it all, lol. All I can do is trace and modify the original trace slightly. I don't draw, dude. I just read stuff. I'm an artist in that category, not in drawing. Although I'm not a terrible drawer, I guess, but I'm also not the best at all.
The probability of that whole disaster going on without the Tsaritsa knowing is just infeasible. Amber. I remember hearing about it in the tavern as well. Amber spoke up. The whole place was just buzzing about it. So Ganyu and Kuching do have good point.
Get that out of there.
Spoke up. The whole place was just buzzing about it. So Ganyu and Kuching do have good points. Jean nodded. So Ganyu and Kuching do have good points.
That's good.
Jean nodded.
Hang on.
So Ganyu and Kuching do have good points. Jean nodded.
Get that out of there. Okay. Jean nodded. I recall hearing of this as well, and I'm assuming that this is the cause of the... No. I recall hearing of this as well. There we go, let's see if that might work. Jean nodded. I recall hearing of this as well, and I'm assuming this is the cause of the supposed act of vengeance that the one Ganyu had faced mentioned. And I'm assuming this is the cause of the supposed act of vengeance that the one Ganyu had faced mentioned. Control R. Assuming this is the cause of the supposed act of vengeance that the one Ganyu had faced mentioned. Ganyu nodded as an answer. I see. Not sure what that was. Sounded like my chair. Ganyu nodded as an answer. I see. But even with the probability being low, Lisa's point is still valid. Ganyu nodded as an answer. I see. But even with the probability being low, Lisa's point is still valid. War is the last thing we want to see happen. So if we can avoid a war breaking out, it's probably best we go at this in the safest manner, with the probability being low. Lisa's point is still valid. War is the last thing we want to see happen. So if we can avoid a war breaking out, it's probably best we go at this in the safest manner possible. Delete that. So if we can avoid a war breaking out, it's probably best we go at this in the safest manner possible. And what way is that? Kuching inquired. We'd have to seek an audience with the Tsaritsa herself. Jean stated. We'd have to seek an audience with the Tsaritsa herself. Jean stated. Neither Ganyu or Kuching liked that answer, seeing with the Tsaritsa being a potential mastermind behind the murders of hundreds, it was like walking into a death trap. Not to mention that she is an archon with thousands of years of knowledge, tactics, and strategies under her belt. She could easily lie or manipulate. Pulls back. She could easily lie or manipulate them into a false sense of security. Pull it back. She could easily lie or manipulate them into a false sense of security. And once they got comfortable, they'd be easy to terminate. Ganyu thought quickly of how to counter this the right way, seeing if she just said it was a bad idea, she wouldn't get anywhere. She thought hard, up until she remembered a specific document that frequently passed through her workload. I have a better idea, if I may suggest so. That back. I have a better idea, if I may suggest so. Ganyu countered. Need to go down. Okay, what is this? Proceed. Jean allowed, knowing her plan. Okay, let's just do something like this. Just add a little bit more. Ganyu countered. Proceed. Jean allowed. No. Okay, whoopsie, not that. That. Ganyu countered. Proceed. Jean allowed, knowing her plan itself was a bad one. Mondstadt has connections with the Fatui. Correct? Mondstadt has connections with the Fatui, correct? Ganyu questioned. Correct. Jean confirmed. Albeit connections that were established in very
egregious ways? Egregious?
I don't know why I struggled here, but I couldn't remember how to pronounce this.
Albeit connections that were established in very egregious ways, but connections nonetheless. Albeit connections that were established in very egregious ways, but connections nonetheless. Perfect. Ganyu celebrated in her mind. Perfect. Perfect. Ganyu celebrated in her mind. I think I know of a way to learn more about this without jeopardizing our own safety. But in order to do this right, Kuching and I must not even be part of it.
Okay, that's fine.
Jean was absolutely invested on the matter.
Pull that back.
Jean was absolutely invested on the matter, as much as everybody else in attendance. Therefore, she had no reason to deny Ganyu's suggestion. All right, what do you have in mind? Jean accepted.
Get that out. You piece of shit! Oh, for goodness sakes. Okay, get that out of there.
What do you have in mind? Jean accepted.
Sit up.
Someone needs to go to someone who has Somebody needs to go to someone who has access to all of the Fatui. Somebody needs to go to someone who has access to all of the Fatui's records and request an invite to a member by the name of Reshov Starchovsky. Ganyu explained, to which Kuching jumped at, knowing exactly Ganyu explained, to which Kuching jumped at, knowing exactly what Ganyu was up to. This was a name that came up right before the night Liyue Harbor and the Tianquan were destroyed.
Oh, for fuck's sake, my damn chair.
What Ganyu was up to. This was a name that came up right before the night Liyue Harbor and the Tianquan were destroyed, and he had been in discussions with the Fatui prior to the discussions that led to the disaster. If we can get him and interrogate him, I have a feeling we'll get some answers to what's really going on behind the curtains of this whole situation. However, we'll need to be careful. He is a well-trained Fatui official that is capable of taking out any who oppose him. Thus, why Kuching and I must remain confidential. Otherwise, he will catch on to what our intent may be. Jean was surprised and intrigued at Ganyu's plan. She was all for this. However, one tiny factor played into the whole matter. Ganyu's hard to do. Played into the whole matter. Your plan is foolproof, except for one thing, Ganyu. Jean explained. The Fatui residing in Mondstadt as we speak have surely seen you in your time here. If any of those Fatui members are connected to this entire mess, they'll alert Reshov of your presence here and eliminate any chance of bringing him to us. Shut it!
Damn chair.
I thought of that, seeing I know just how sneaky and clever the Fatui really are. Ganyu assured. Therefore, I know of a way to counter that possibility. And what is that? Jean questioned. Kuching and I leave the city, and after enough days to assure the Fatui reside... Kuching and I leave the city, And after enough days to assure the Fatui residing here, Kuching and I leave the city. And after enough days to assure the Fatui residing here know we're... And after enough days to assure the Fatui reside... No. And after enough days to assure the Fatui residing here know we've left for good. That's when you act on the plan.
Delete.
Ching and I leave the city. And after enough days to assure the...
Let's see. Need to pull this back a little ways. There we go. That might work.
Kuching and I leave the city. And after enough days to assure the Fatui residing here know we've left for good. That's when you act on the plan. Jean? Act on the plan.
Okay, get that
Jean,
out.
along with the others, were impressed, seeing it was That's when you act on the plan. Jean, along with the others, were impressed, seeing it was actually pretty clever. Remove any suspicion of their occupancy in a... Remove any sus... Think it was actually pretty clever. Remove any suspicion of their occupancy in Mondstadt. Were impressed, seeing it was actually pretty clever. Remove any suspicion of their occupancy in Mondstadt first, then initiate the plan of bringing Reshov to them. It should have been no surprise that a half-adeptus veteran of the Archon War. I swear to fucking God. It should have been no surprise that a half-adeptus veteran of the Archon War could come up with something so foolproof. Your plan is what?
Okay.
I'd hate to just...
Oh.
Your plan is wise and clever. But where will you go? Jean asked worriedly. Oh. Jean asked.
This damn chair. I need to get a new chair.
Where will you go? Jean asked worriedly. I'd hate to just abandon you two in your most desperate time of need. Not to mention, you'll surely have eyes on you, and being out on your own so vulnerable seems reckless. Don't worry. I have places we can go that the Fatui will never find. Ganyu assured. I was one of Rex Lapis's warrior in the Archon. No. I was one of Rex... I was one of Rex Lapis's warrior in the Archon. No. I was one of Rex... Chairs? Dots? I'm gonna lose my flippin' mind here. I was one of Rex Lapis's warriors in the Archon War. And in those years, I had to create special places that shelter me. And in those years, I had to create special places that shelter my... I had to create special places that shelter my... I had to create special places to shelter myself.
There we go.
And in those years, I had to create special places. And in those years, I had to create special places to shelter myself.
Let's see if that might work.
In those years, I had to create special places to shelter myself. Places that
places that only I can access and enter at will, as the Fatui are clueless about. I second that. I second that. Kuching added. I second that. Kuching added. I have no reason to believe that Ganyu wouldn't suggest leaving here if she didn't have a place to go. I have no reason to believe that Ganyu wouldn't suggest leaving here if we didn't have a place to go. I'm all for her plan, but only if all of you are willing to agree to it. There was a long moment of silence before Jean and the other knights came to a decision on the matter. Oh, I didn't even hear the freaking heater. I'll do that after the heater decides to take a piss. Came to a decision on the matter. There was a long moment of silence before Jean and the other knights came to a decision on the matter. There was a long moment of silence before Jean and the other knights came to a decision on the matter. There was a long moment of silence before Jean and the other knights came to a decision on the matter. This was the best thing they had without going. This was the best thing. This was the best thing they had without going. This was the best thing they had without going. This was the best thing they had without going to the Sarita's homeland and putting themselves in potential danger. So they all and putting themselves in potential danger. And putting themselves and putting them. Yeah, that's a plosive. Control R. Rita's homeland and putting themselves in potential danger. So they all decided it as the best option. So they all decided it as the best option. All right, I will agree to this plan. All right, I will agree. All right, I will agree to this plan. All right, I will agree to this plan. Jean accepted. As will I. But you sweeties best be careful out there. Lisa followed. I like the first take better. I do hope in the future I'll be able to send a super chat donation possibly. I mean, if you want to send it, that's fine, but you don't have to in order to support me. But you sweeties best be careful out there. Lisa followed. I agree too, but as soon as we have this guy, you best come back to Mondstadt where you're safe. Amber followed as well. Kaya was not the smoothest plan I've heard. Not the smooth. Sus voice, like a sus voice. Not the smoothest plan I've heard, but I like your style. What does Kaya sound like? Not the best plan I've heard. Not. I'm going into Amber there. Not the best plan I've heard. Not the best plan I've heard. But I like your style. Not the best plan I've heard. But I like your style. As you wish. Not the best plan I've heard. Not the best plan I've heard, but I like your style. Kaya agreed. I don't know, guys. Okay, all this is just junk. So we'll just push this a little bit. Not the best plan I've heard, but I like your style. Kaya agreed. Jean nodded at her fellow company's decisions, moving her direction. Jean nodded at her fellow company's decisions, moving her direction. Moving her attention back to Lisa.
moving her attention back to Lisa. Moving her attention back to Lisa. Lisa, I want you to prepare the counterspells just in case Mr. Reginald. Jean nodded at her fellow company's decisions. Moving her attention back to Lisa. Lisa, I want you to prepare... Nodded at her fellow company's decisions. Moving her attention back to Lisa. Lisa, I want you to prepare the counterspells just in case Mr. Reginald. Lisa. Lisa, I want you to prepare the counterspells just in case Mr. Rezhov has any tricks up his sleeve. Jean ordered. We'll need to detain him very carefully. We'll need to detain him very carefully and swiftly before he can even get a chance at... No. We'll need to detain him very We'll need to detain him very carefully and swiftly before we can even have a chance at interrogating him. So when the day comes that he passes through that... So when the day comes that he passes through that gate, we must be our most focused to assure he doesn't get away.
Okay.
Very well. Very well. Lisa agreed.
Hold that back.
Lisa agreed. I'll be sure that bad boy is punished thoroughly for harming these darlings. I'll be sure that bad boy is punished thoroughly for harming these darlings. No. I'll make sure that bad boy is punished thoroughly for harming these darlings.
That's more Lisa based. But where's the punish?
For harming. Boy is punished.
That is a plosive. Need to get that out of there. Apparently the mic position was not correct.
Boy is punished.
There we go.
I'll make sure that bad boy is punished thoroughly for harming these darlings. With that assurance, Jean turned her attention to Kaya. Where is this girl? There you are. Okay. Kaya? No. Kaya, I want you to keep our... Kaya, I want you to keep our security as it... Kaya, I want you to keep our security as it's been. Kaya, I want you to keep our security as it's been. As much as being sure to keep an eye on any Fatui who try to enter or leave. As much as being sure to keep an eye on any Fatui who try to enter or leave. Remembering her mission.
Okay.
Remembering her mission requested by D-Luke, Ganyu quickly added her input. You should also be sure to double check any luggage or anything that... You should also be sure to check any luggage or anything that could hide someone.
Push that out. What's this?
It just might prevent a massive disaster. It just might prevent a massive... No. It just might prevent a massive disaster from happening. Jean nodded at the suggestion, knowing Ganyu was right and had a great point. Be sure to add that to the protocol of entrance and exit requirements as well. It just might prevent a... Be sure to add that to the protocol of entrance and exit requirements as well. Jean added. I'll relay that information to the gate guards. Kaya agreed. Following that, Jean turned her eyes to Amber. Amber, I want you to scout the roads for any suspicious activity. And if there is any, do not engage with them. Jean ordered. Oh, I need to go down. These individuals are clearly dangerous and hostile. So if you do... No. These individuals are clearly dangerous and hostile. These individuals are clearly dangerous and hostile. So if you do see any strange individuals heading towards Mondstadt, report them back to the gate guards. From there, we can search and determine if they are carrying any dangerous luggage. We can search and determine if they are carrying any dangerous luggage. Yes, Master Gene.
Okay, pull that back.
From there, we can search and determine if they are carrying any dangerous luggage. Yes, Master Gene. Amber obediently agreed. Lastly, Gene turned to Kuching and Ganyu, expressing a look of courage. As for you two, may Barbados keep you safe out there until we meet again. As for you two, may Barbados keep you safe out there until we meet again. Please, feel free to take the clothes we provided you, and don't hesitate to come back if you need to. Mondstadt owes you its thanks. And don't hesitate to come back if you need to. Mondstadt owes you its thanks. And I wish you the best on your trip. Mondstadt owes you its thanks. And I wish you the best on your trip. Thank you for your hospitality and assistance. Ganyu spoke, stopping halfway to look at her accomplice. And for healing my friend. And for healing my friend. And for healing my friend. That last word caused
Okay. Fuck. Wake up.
And for healing my friend. That last word caused Kuching to wince in surprise.
There we go. You get that little click out of there.
That last word caused Kuching to wince in surprise. It wasn't a word she'd ever expected Ganyu to address. It wasn't a word she'd ever expected Ganyu to address her as. However, she didn't retort at the word, just smiled in happiness. With the plan set and the meeting concluded, Ganyu and Kuching took their leave, moving back to their abode. Ganyu and Kuching took their leave, moving back to their abode to pack up for their departure to the Animo capital. Kuching had no idea where Ganyu planned to take her, but she knew the next days were going to be hard. With the Fatui watching their every move, they would have to tread carefully from here, because failure was not an option. Reshov Starchovsky was the key to
God damn it! Ugh, I swear.
moving back.
Whoever decided to put the home and the delete button right next to each other, fucking hell.
Reshov Starchovsky was the key to everything, and if they wanted to squeeze every bit of information possible out of him, they couldn't afford to misstep even once. Survive, focus, detain and interrogate the potential answer to all of this chaos. The game of retribution for Liyue Harbor had officially begun.
Alright. Let's cut that. And save. And export. Shit. Clean. Mistake. Clean. Okay. Sparrow's reaction to butterflies and the insect eating its way out of Rainbow Dash's I'll never get old. Blech. Yeah. Not what I would call a good time. When is the premiere coming out? That's this Saturday, right? Yep, this Saturday. Fuck. So if you guys haven't set your reminders yet, go ahead and go do that if you want to see what happens next. This is not part of the next part. This is actually part of part 3. So, yeah. It's gonna be a long story. See, the pacing is really, really, like, solid. I have to build up their relationship before I can do anything. It's not like Savior where I could just, like, I don't know. Even in that one, I feel like the romance was a little rushed. Bro knows how to do a good reaction. I've brought cupcakes was already enough to make Sparrow object. Well, yeah, it's basically the same exact freaking, like, concept. Or not the conversation. Bleh. Not the concept, but the prompt. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, now we're gonna add the EQ and stuff. Clean up the audio a little bit. I think I need to fix one more thing with chapter 9. Because I feel like that went a little too quick. It's alright though. We'll get there. Okay, need to put the chat back up. Okay. Load simple. So on direct POV from both my OC. Yeah. Starting a story is always the hardest part of any story, unless you know exactly how it's gonna play out. Starting a story is gonna be hard. The way I like to write my stories is I like to immediately get into the action. Like, I want to hook the reader immediately. I don't want to, stall for like chapters on end and bore the reader to death. That was the problem with like stories that I had to read in like class, like back in school. That was the biggest issue. It was boring. You gotta catch me within at least the first 2 pages, otherwise it's just gonna get tossed to the side. Like, you gotta catch my attention and you gotta keep my attention. Otherwise it's just gonna be boring. Alright. I have a good amount of patience, but when it comes to reading, I like to get into the action, bam, like that. What am I going for here? I'm going for a limiter. Okay, I need to go to the noise gate. Turn it down. Okay, let's see what this sounds like. Oh wait, I need to do the EQ too. Okay. So push the bass up a little bit. Bring these down. Then the 5. Only about right there.
A mild shake to Ganyu's shoulder was what awoke her, Kuching having been the one to have aroused her from her slumber. Opening her eyes, Ganyu sat up against the headboard of the bed, lifting the sheets blanketing her body and slowly escaping her drowsy trance. Good morning, Kuchink greeted. Wiping away the sand left by the Sandman in the corners of her eyes, Ganyu smiled in her half-awakened state.
Good morning, Lady Kuching.
Ganyu returned sweetly, following with a yawn.
Sorry to wake you up so early, but a messenger came by telling us to get ready.
Kuching explained.
Apparently, the acting Grand Master has things to discuss with us, and she wants us in her office as soon as possible. No, it's fine.
What is that? Ganyu assured.
Get that out of there. What is that? Get that out of there. I swear, I don't know how I missed these things, but apparently I did. We'll just get that out real quick. I'm gonna have to try and find a voice claim for my OC, though. What's a voice claim? That's the first time I've ever heard that. We'll worry about the voice, like air pockets and all that stuff later on. Let's see. I can always add another noise scale on top of the one that I have already.
Thank you for your hospitality and assistance, and I wish you the best on your trip. Thank you for your hospitality and assistance. Ganyu spoke, stopping halfway to look at her accomplice. And for healing my friend.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of work to go.
That last word caused Kuching to wince in surprise. It wasn't a word she'd ever expected Ganyu to address her as. However, she didn't retort at the word, just smiled in happiness. With the plan set and the meeting concluded, Ganyu and Kuching took their leave, moving back to their abode to pack up for their departure to the Animo capital.
Okay, that seems fine. For now, anyway. For now. That's why you always keep your clean files. TBOIAL Chapter 7 EQ Clean. In simple terms, it's basically taking a character's voice that's already existing and claiming it as your OC's voice. Oh, I see. I see. I also apologize on the last one with the volume issue. I mean, my friend, I tested it with a friend and he said that it wasn't too bad, but the volume, okay, here's how I'm going to put it. Like I said, it's the program. The program that I use to export it loves to turn up the volume another 10 notches, and I do not know why it does it. I don't touch the volume nozzle. It's imported with this kind of volume, and then it's turned up another 5 notches or something like that. I don't know, and I don't know how much it turns it up, but it does a volume boost. So I don't know why when I turned it down clearly, when it exported, it had... Yeah, it was annoying. So I tried, guys. It'll be better this time around. It will be better this time around. Trust me. I used a different program to export it. None of this volume boost bullshit. None of this, none of that. It's gonna be fine. Now I'm deciding whether or not I want to do something else. I mean, if you really want to get caught up on the entire story, it's on my fan fiction. It's not complete, but it's a work in progress. I do need to fix one little aspect, though. Because I wrote it at night when I was, like, half awake. But, we'll see. We'll see when we get there. I'm not in any rush, by any means. Holy shit! Okay. Jesus. Okay. Exactly. Plus, if they tried to use any magic, their magic would have been drained into the seats that they were in, basically killing them. If they would have tried anything, Starlight wouldn't have teleported out and left her friends for dead. People, the one question I always get asked the most: why didn't Starlight just choose option 3 immediately? Here's how I look at it, and I've been in situations like these. If you're in a situation where your adrenaline is rushing like crazy and fear is all that's plaguing your mind, you aren't thinking straight. You are like not thinking straight at all. You are wanting to do other things. Like all your body is saying is find a way to get out. So only until later did Starlight realize that the answer was right there in front of her. When your mind is in a situation where you aren't thinking straight, then you are not going to choose the most obvious option. Otherwise, the Saw films would have been over like 5 minutes. It's horror. You're not going to make the best decisions. I may write good stories, but I do follow some horror tropes. But that's the one question I always get asked the most. Or why didn't Luna do something about the main six's involvement? And I said, did you not read the sequel or listen to the sequel? Luna was involved. Luna was part of it. If she did jack shit, she was gonna die. What am I doing? I don't know. Oh yeah, uploading to a Mediafire. I'm only going to do one at a time because I don't want to overload myself too much. I want to try something and see if I can't do something. What am I looking for? Mediafire. This is where I have to upload shit if I can't use my Google Drive. That's why I always export. This is why I always export in MP3, because it really, really isn't a big format, or a file format for that matter. Oh, shut up. Where is the upload button? There it is. But that's the one question I always get asked on Chrysalis's Revenge is why didn't, Starlight just kill herself? Because she's not thinking straight. If you're in a situation like that, you aren't thinking of the most obvious option. Have you ever seen a horror movie? 777, where are you hiding? There you are. Oh, 34.27? Well, so how long was that? How long is this file? It is around 25 minutes. I don't know. There might be 4 files to this one. Okay. Alright, that's done. How long did that take me? That probably didn't take me very long. Well, that didn't take me that long at all. It took me around 2 hours. Well, I hate to just leave on such a short notice. Let me get off that messy desktop-ish. There's no doubt in my mind. There is no doubt in my mind that Chrysalis is stronger than Starlight. Not likely Twilight because Alicorn. Chrysalis has enough magic to bring Tarek to his third form easily. Well, including Armored Chrysalis from the finale, she's OP. What do y'all prefer? Anyway, normal Chrysalis or Armored Chrysalis? I just prefer Chrysalis as Chrysalis. I don't want her to see her go to Pokemon fucking form. Jesus Christ. If they weren't there, she probably would have had to because Rarity doesn't have big magical brain. Yeah, because if you remember in the story, Chrysalis says to Starlight that if you make like a noise, like if you try to use magic, if you try to like scream or make a noise from the pain that you are going to endure, you are going to die. Like you're like, what's the word, like your life energy basically is gonna go straight down into the chair. Like people think that people think that forbidden magic like necromancy or death spells are not existent. I'm like, oh my god, have you not seen what freaking Grogar can do? And considering Grogar exists as a character or like a referenced character in G4, it is canon. Necromancy is very much existent in the show. Did you not see what King Sombra did? Did you not see what Grogar did to the ponies and Skip from Midnight Castle? He turned them into monsters. Death spells very much exist. Or curses, for that matter. Sombra literally turned to dark magic. That's why he got murked. He got murked because of his own reasons. There's a lot of things about the Season 9 one I didn't like. It's just not the Sombra I remember. But whatever. It is what it is. It's kind of like the banner that's coming out today in Genshin Impact. I find this the most dumb banner that they could have ever made. For starters, the 5-star, well, the main 5-star, who is the new one, Dia. Nobody is going to go for this character, and if they do, they're either a newer player or they're a WoW. Oh, parents are home. Hold that thought. Okay. Parents went shopping. I'm still not sure who's stronger between Starlight and Twilight. They're both of I think they're both of like a different type of like level. Like, what's the best way to say this? Like, not all unicorns can do the same magic as Twilight. Like, literally. She has a higher, like, amount. Like, she has a higher... What's the word? Like, a higher... Like, ability. Like, talent. Like, she can be a lot more magically talented than most unicorns. It's like not all unicorns are able to do what Starlight or Twilight do because they're stronger or more gifted. It's like me trying to it's like I'm not as talented as Lost or Magpie at all. I can accept that, but that's because I have a different style. That's the word I'm looking for, style. That's because I'm a different style and like have a different like branch than they are. Like they go the full 9 yards. Like they have animation, they have legit voice acting, they have a like it's almost like what's the word? Like a movie. It's kind of like a movie. Like it's a big production. That is not where I want to be because it's a lot of work. The only time I go that far is during Halloween. Because I find Halloween kind of my time to really shine and to give you guys the best quality that I can possibly give you. So that's the only time when I really go that far. Ow, 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 ow. But yeah, I'm of like a different level and a different style. Basically the same exact idea of Twilight and Starlight. Twilight is not stronger than Starlight. It was proven in the season 5 finale. Starlight is more gifted and more crafty. She can outlast Twilight in magical ability and strength, which is pretty impressive. Seeing Twilight is an alicorn, so Starlight has some shit. Not only that, she can take a cutie mark away. Twilight can't do that. Just saying. Okay, what am I doing now? Probably ending the stream. Probably. Sorry guys, that's actually not too bad. It was about 2 hours. Sorry, I would have given you guys more, but I want to take it easy on myself. I don't want to rush myself too much. So thank you guys for joining me. I really do appreciate you guys keeping me company while I did this little amount of work. But yeah, I'll probably be back at it tomorrow. This is not the hardest part of the project. In my opinion, the hardest part is after you take the cuts out and all that stuff. That's when it gets hard. So, yeah, I'll see you guys next time. So, yeah, happy Orson until next time. Make sure to take care. Bleh.